recording. All right, just so you guys know that we're gonna create a framework from scratch. So now you guys are going to see that whatever you have done in IDE, it will have some similarity in terms of code, but it doesn't have the interface for you to click here and click there and all of that, right? So that means it requires for you to learn everything from the scratch. So starting off, we need a fresh project. So I'm going to create a new project. I'm going to open up a new IDE, and so I'm going to give it a name probably. So let's see, new project. So once you click on new and project, you want to click on Maven, because that's what we want, right? So Java Maven. Okay. So the reason why we want Maven, anybody know what Maven is?
No.
Okay, so let me just open up text editor to give you guys an idea. So what is Maven basically? So Maven is a dependency management tool. Okay, so when you create a framework, it needs multiple items in order to work as a whole, right? You need, for example, for Selenium is there to make sure that you can manipulate a browser. That means you tell browser what to do and it will do it, right? That's what Selenium is for. And then you need JUnit. JUnit is to say, okay, I want to verify this, I want to verify that. So for assertion purposes, you need JUnit. So that there's already two items. How do you put them together, right? So that's when Maven comes in to say, okay, let me worry about the version. Let me take care of what things that you need for your project. So Maven will basically track what version you're using, and it will automatically install those libraries. Okay, so we're gonna need some pre-written code, meaning let's say Selenium, for example. Again, Selenium is nothing but somebody wrote those code early, and those code does something, right? So we're gonna be like using those code. So Selenium comes in reality, Selenium comes in a folder basically, and folder have a lot of files, right? In these files, there are a bunch of code that we can use whenever we need, right? So for example, if you want to click on something, it belongs to a file somewhere within a folder. So we have to say, okay, we want to click, but then we want to use click from this folder and this file, right? So now, just like this, we have a lot of folders and files. So let me go back to scratch that we need for our project. So for example, these are called libraries. These are called external libraries. So those libraries automatically gets downloaded by Maven and puts it into your project so you can use them, right? What is the alternative to this? So if you don't use Maven, what is the alternative? The alternative is that you're going to go and find one file at a time online, and you're going to download it, and then you're going to have to put it in here, right? Which takes a lot of time. Look how many files there is, right? So instead, you tell Maven, hey, this is the version, and this is the name of the library that I want, and it will automatically install and put it into your project. So this is how we actually tell Maven what we want. So for example, we tell Maven we want Selenium, and we want 3.141.59. So this is the version that we want. And then Maven says, okay, I'll download it. So then it goes and downloads. So what if I change the version? Look, change the version, immediately Maven says, okay, you got to refresh. You see? Now, if I refresh it, it will change the version too. It will download the newer version and basically delete the older version. So Maven does all of that. It's a dependency management tool. It's a build management tool in order to make sure that when we create a project, these dependencies, it keeps track of the version, and it keeps the project in a way that if you share your project with your coworkers, say, okay, write more tests, he doesn't have to worry about what libraries that you picked and choose, right? All he has to go is check the Maven and it will show the version, it will show the Selenium, and he can go ahead and install it by clicking on the Maven build, right? So there is a build right there, hammer, right? So if he clicks on it, it will automatically install all the dependencies. See, dependency, the build is being able to, it's downloading everything, right? So it downloads all of necessary item that you need for your project. So for now, you may not understand very well, but at least understand this much, that Maven just will take care of those miscellaneous smaller things. It doesn't have a big role to play, but its role is to make sure that it manages all of the things that you need for your project. Okay. So that's why we're going to create Java with Maven project. I would say note that what Maven is, because that will probably going to be helpful for you even in the future. But we will, as time goes by, we're going to learn more and more about Maven. Okay. Let's see what Google has as a definition for Maven, so we can kind of move away from this topic. Let's see what meant by Maven. One expert knowledge. Okay, no. Let's see. Maven repo. Okay. Let's see. What is Maven in Java, right? So Maven is a build automation tool used primarily for Java project. Maven can also be used to build manage project written in C#, Ruby, Scala, and other languages. Maven project is hosted Apache Software Foundation. So this is like more like political answer. But if I go into this, let's see their website, what that says. Okay. Introduction. Let's just read the introduction before we continue with Maven. So let's see. Maven object. Introduction is pretty political also. Like I want a more refined answer. So let's see, what is Maven? Let's say if this person wrote it. Okay, no matter how small or large, all application must undergo a specific series of processes, right? Such as generating and compiling source code. Developers can manually configure those processes, like I mentioned, but it's a time-consuming burden. To solve this issue, we present Maven, right? It's Apache Maven, which automate the entire process and make Java developers' daily work more easier. Okay, so pretty much this is also mentioning about the benefits of Maven. Maven is a popular open source build tool developed by Apache Group to build, publish, and deploy several projects at once for better project management. This tool allows developers to build the document and lifecycle framework. Okay, so not only that it manages the dependencies, but it's also documenting, right? So in here, it actually, when we need something, we definitely put it in here, right? So it is also kind of like documenting. So other team members, they know exactly what you're using for your own project. Those who started late, you're not too late. Okay, so I'm gonna, again, we're just talking about Maven as a tool. What is Maven? Is a build management, or it is a dependency management tool that actually going to manage all of the dependencies that you need for your project. Okay, so you don't have to worry about like installing this one at a time. Imagine you have to install one at a time. You have to find them, you have to know what version they are, and then you'll have to install them. But Maven, what it does is that it knows what you need. And how does it know? You provide it into the Maven has pom.xml. This is where you say, okay, I need Selenium, I need Cucumber, I need this and that, right? All of that gets basically listed here, and it will automatically install it for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it ourselves, one, and then we kind of get to understand what it is. So again, from scratch, we're doing it. This will go away. This is a previous framework, so we're not going to even talk about this. This was for an example. So for today's framework, we're gonna give it a name. So I'm gonna say light automation framework. So the reason I'm saying light automation framework and giving it a name like this is because this framework is going to be very light version of the actual framework that we use at work. Okay, so we're going to start with as light as possible, and then we're going to go heavy as time goes by. We choose JDK. This is the name of the framework that I gave. Location, I just put it into a folder. So this is a by default from IntelliJ. Language, we're choosing Java. That's the language we're going to be learning and mastering as time goes by. Build system, again, Maven. We don't want to say IntelliJ. IntelliJ does have their own build management tool, but this will be, again, learning curve. We don't want to do that because not a lot of company out there uses IntelliJ. This is a real, I would say this is a new thing, right? This is a new thing that came out. But anyway, so Maven, we chose and we click on create. I'm going to open up a new window so I don't have to deal with the previous window. So now we have our framework. I'm going to go ahead and remove the older one. Okay. So now that we have a framework, it really doesn't have a whole lot, right? So at this point, we're going to see the hierarchies, folders, and files that it generated. Okay. So when you create a Maven project, the first thing you're going to notice is the pom.xml being open, and it will automatically install a few things. For example, it will have Java automatically associated with this project is because they already know that you're going to build a Java application, right? Java project. And that's what you have. You have OpenJDKs already associated with your project. So the first thing first, we're gonna see if Java works. Okay, so we're gonna create a class and we're gonna then test it to make sure that our Java works first. And once Java works, then we can move on to basically have Selenium within this project. Okay. So you see IML, we don't really need this. I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. I don't know why that file gets created automatically. Okay, so inside of Java, I'm gonna create new and I'm gonna create a package, okay? And I'm gonna give it a name. The package could be whatever, like I'm gonna give it a name as package, so that way we know what it is, a package. But normally in a company, they invalid name possible. Invalid package name, okay, maybe P has to be capital. Okay, so package name has to start with capitalization, but again, all I did is named it as package, but in a company, it could be like, okay, if you're working in the underwriting department, then it will be underwriting, whatever is the case, you can name it however you want. Once the package is created, the next thing is we're going to create a Java class. And again, Java class needs to be also capital, start the name with capitalization. So let's say we're going to say our first test, right? First test done. Once you create your Java class, one thing that you need here is that you are going to need, okay, so what did we learn in Java, right? So whenever you guys did the classes in Java, right? So Java W3, I'm going to go into that tutorial. So the first introduction that you did, you learned about, let's see, getting started. Okay, this is installation, which is done, syntax. Let's go into that. So you learned about this syntax first, right? Anybody disagree?
No.
Okay, so you learned about this syntax. Here it says public static void main. Again, guys, the reason I'm spending extra time to even explain Java is because I assume that most of you guys did not absorb everything there is about Java. So I'm going to try to include as much as I can before even moving forward. So in Java, you're going to have this main method. Okay, this main method needs to be present in your class in order for you to execute your code. That means every line of code that runs in Java must be inside of a class. We name the class as main. The class should always start with uppercase first letter. Okay, so M is uppercase. All right. And then we're talking about main method. Okay, so the main method is required, and you will see it in every Java program. So main method means is this public static void main. If this method is not there, then it will not execute your code. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and copy this real quick. This is something that you will probably, as time goes by, you're going to be able to understand how this works. But we need this public void main method. Okay, so now immediately you see IntelliJ is giving you right away this play button. So if I click on this and I click on run, let's see what happens, right? So it's running, it's building first, and it will run. And let's see, once it's run and it says hello world, and this is what we wanted to print. So let's say I like Selenium, right? So for example, I like Selenium at this point. I go ahead and run it now, and now it will print it here. That means that your program actually ran and it's working. One way for you to see things that is working for at least your program is that you have to say system out.println. You're just printing the message, what's really happening. Otherwise, your program will run and you will not see what happened, whether that program executed, what is the return for that program. In this case, we're just saying, okay, return me this. Okay, that's what we're saying. So now that our Java works, that means in our test, Java is working perfectly fine. So far, if I tell you guys to do it this much, can you guys do it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so that's good, because the next class, we're gonna see at least up to here, right? So now I'm gonna expand a bit more. I'm gonna start adding more to this framework. So the first thing first is that right now it doesn't have Selenium WebDriver. Okay, so in order for me to tell, like, hey, open Selenium WebDriver here, if I want to write some code, Selenium WebDriver is not going to open. It's because it doesn't have it, right? We don't have Selenium WebDriver anywhere. So if I open up this library, nowhere you can see Selenium WebDriver. You're seeing JDK, you're seeing Java, and that's it, right? So let's go ahead and get Selenium. So because this is a Maven framework, I'm gonna go on Google and I'm gonna write Maven repo. When you write Maven repo, they do have a repository list where you can actually go and search. So I want Selenium and I write Selenium, okay? Once I write the Selenium, the first one came in, Selenium Java, that's what we need. Now they have different version. Is it necessary for me to pick the latest and greatest version? I would say not really, because the latest and greatest sometimes comes with issues because it's just came out, right? So we don't want to deal with those issues even at work, right? So you're going to see your coworkers are not going with the latest and greatest always. They're going with more usage. So whichever version is have higher usage, that's the one that they were going to go with, because that's probably more stable. So let's see which one. So in this case, 447 cannot lie. At this point, looks like this is a popular version and which may be more stable. So we're going to go with this. Okay. So in this case, you have list of build management tool. We only need Maven. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Okay. So I just copied it, and now I'm going to go to my pom.xml. In pom.xml here, I have to paste it. Okay, so now this is inside a project. So again, in XML, the way XML works, you have tag name. This is the project beginning, and this is the project ending. So everything is inside a project. You have properties beginning. This is the properties ending. The way you end it is using this // So the same way we're going to say we need dependencies because it's more than one dependency, right? So first we have to apply a tag called dependencies, and then we have to end this tag too. This is the beginning of the tag. We have to end it. So the way we're going to end, and that's it. So we just successfully applied a dependencies with plural. That means we may have more than one dependency inside of it. Okay, so far so good.
Yes.
We get it, right? Okay. There's nothing to be memorized. Again, this is the way it is. This is how Maven works. So there's nothing extra that we can even talk about here. So now I'm going to paste it. Okay. So notice dependencies plural contains dependency. I'm going to go ahead and fix my code. I'm going to do Option Command L. Okay. To kind of fix up the format. It's the shortcut. And as you can see that inside of dependencies, we put dependency Selenium. Now I can put more dependency inside of dependencies. At this point, Maven immediately recognized a new dependency was added to the XML and is telling you, hey, do you want to load Maven changes? And I'm going to say, yeah, sure. I click on that and immediately you're going to see in the bottom, it's installed. So now Maven installed all the dependencies that I asked for. In this case, I asked for Selenium. So let's go ahead and just verify this. So Maven, let's see Selenium was installed or not. As you can see, Selenium. So you didn't see this before, Selenium HQ. You didn't see this before. So it actually installed all the dependencies in here, right? So now it says that Maven sometime will give you suggestion. So in here, the reason there is an underscore right here, broken underscore, it says, hey, there is a higher version of Selenium. Do you want me to get that? And I'm going to say, no, we don't want to upgrade it for now because that's the stable version. All right. And how did we determine stable version, guys? Who can answer this question?
Use it.
Usage, right? Like higher, the more people are using it, that means they must have find issues on other version and they decided to move back to that specific version. Okay. So now that we know Selenium is here, the first thing we want to test to make sure if Selenium works. Okay. So I'm going to say something like this, so that way we can understand running Selenium. So now let's see Selenium. If you want to find out if Selenium works, I think it'll be easier to say that if we can open up Chrome, that means Selenium works perfectly. Okay. So I'm going to say WebDriver and I'm going to open up this Chrome from my computer by writing a code. Okay. So for you to do that, let's open up a Selenium cheat sheet because I don't want people to like, oh, this guy just knows his stuff, so he's writing it. No, let's just go ahead and go to a cheat sheet. Okay, so Selenium, and everybody can use this cheat sheet. Again, this is available to you. So if you're watching this video later on, just make sure you use the same exact cheat sheet, so it'll be easier to follow. Okay, so now I go in here and I write Selenium cheat sheet. Let's see which one is probably the most easy one to use. Okay, so cheatography is the one. And when you type it, this is the domain of the cheat sheet, and this is the person who wrote it. And we're going to use this. This is something that you're going to use at work too. So this is something you can actually print and put it in your desk. It's totally fine. Okay. Now, we want to open Chrome, okay? And we have a cheat sheet telling you exactly how to open it, okay? So now it says that the first line right here, it says that we need to make sure we say where the Chrome driver is. So how many people here knows what Chrome driver and Chrome? Okay, so again, I gotta give you an explanation. Chrome driver and Chrome browser. They are not same. Okay, so this is your Chrome browser. Chrome driver is a folder, sorry, it's a file, executable file that will be used to, so they're not same, right? Guys, anybody, I think last class we talked about Chrome driver and Chrome browser. They're not same. This is a browser where you can actually just click and open, you can install it and things like that. Chrome driver gets created by the same exact team that creates Chrome driver, and they keep it into separate location for people to use. So let's say Chrome driver, and now you can see that Google team, what they did, they put it into a separate location for people to download. The reason why they're not same is because Chrome driver allows you to kind of manage or actually automate Chrome, and Chrome driver gets interrupted by Selenium. So Selenium goes and talks to Chrome driver. Therefore, essentially, Selenium is talking to Chrome. Okay, so when you have Chrome driver, it has to match with the version of Chrome that you have in your computer. So now, if you look into, so I'm going to go ahead and try to determine which version that I need. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and click on About Chrome driver, and I see that I have 105.0. That's what I need for me, at least. So for you, you have to determine by looking into the version of your own Chrome driver. The first thing the cheat sheet says is that we need to provide the location of the Chrome. The cheat sheet was made from somebody who has Windows machine. So if you have Windows computer, you're going to be more than happy. But for Mac, I'm going to show you guys how to make that change. Okay, so now I'm gonna first thing first. Ooh, okay. Copy didn't, okay, I don't know how. Let's see, copy it. Why is it going like this? Okay, so we're gonna type it in, okay? But we can see it and we're gonna type it in. So the first line that you can see is that you're providing where the Chrome driver you installed in your computer. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna create a folder here in my framework. I'm gonna go into that, I'm gonna create new. I'm gonna click on directory, I'm gonna say driver, okay? Just simply drivers, okay? In here, I have drivers and I know that I need one of 5.0. Okay, so this is the one, I believe. Again, I'm going to go back to make sure that I got the right one because there is few version. So 105.0, 51, okay? And 51, that's the same version. So I'm going to get it for Mac. Click that and I'm going to go ahead and open it. Once I open it, I'm going to go ahead and put it inside of the driver, okay? And that's all I did. Let it finish and it's loading as of right now. Okay, so it's gonna say refactor, click on that, and now you have Chrome driver inside of your folder. Okay, so nothing extra, nothing coding related. We just went online, found a compatible version of Chrome driver and installed it and put it into our driver. If we had to do this for Firefox, you would have to do the same thing, Firefox driver. If you have to do it for Safari, you have Safari driver. So every browser comes with their driver to make sure that we can actually automate things, okay? So far, so good, right? Any question before we go into writing some code?
No.
Okay. So in order for me to open a Chrome with code, there will be a few things. So again, the cheat sheet here is saying that we need this line and then we have to use this. So I'm not gonna apply this first. Okay, I'm gonna just apply directly this line and I'm gonna try to see what kind of issue that I face. And then from there, I will go ahead and fix whatever I need to fix, right? So notice like my WebDriver is not even here, right? Somehow WebDriver is not here. So I'm gonna try to go ahead and build the project right here. So that way I wanna see if the WebDriver pretty much trying to download everything that I need right at this point. Okay, so now if I write WebDriver, okay, Selenium. Okay, so I just have to see what's happening here. Maybe the package is the issue. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the package for now. I'm gonna take this out of the package for now. Okay, refactor. Just want to see if this is package related. Okay, this is unusual. Okay, so this is not a package related issue. I'm gonna put it back. Target is fine, pom.xml is fine. We just did the, yeah, we just did that actually. Just want to copy the whole line. So every time we start with our Selenium classes, we do face issues like this initially because things changes all the time, right? And new Chrome driver, let me see, import. Okay, so this is not really an issue. This is actually more in terms of like importing issue, right? So right now, when you want to use Chrome driver, you have to provide where you're grabbing the Chrome driver from, right? So if you say import, that way it tells this class to say, okay, Selenium is belong to, WebDriver belongs to this specific, location. The other thing that I notice is that sometime our IntelliJ is pretty slow. So because you just installed everything right now, it doesn't immediately recognize things here. So now if I write something here, look, if I write it WebDriver, it finds it. You see, this is what I was looking for right there. You see, WebDriver driver is equal to new Chrome driver, right? That's exactly what I needed. And now you can see it's recognized and it's doing it correctly. So just keep in mind after installing your Selenium, go ahead and restart your IntelliJ. Just quit and reopen. Maybe that's gonna be easier. Otherwise, you'll have to type this whole line first and then hover, and it will give you an option to import. Okay, so these imports are necessary because why? Because it's telling exactly where the Selenium WebDriver belongs to. Okay, so this Chrome driver has a lot of code associated with it. So this is responsible for opening Chrome into your computer. So all this code we're using by calling a name, and then we're saying that exists in here is actually somewhere here, right? Somewhere here. So now I'm going to run it and I'm going to face an issue and then we're going to fix that issue. Okay. So running it and then, oh, and it tried to open the Chrome, but it couldn't, right? So let's see what is the problem. Okay. So session, Okay, let's see, exception. So it says starting Chrome 1.0, okay, 1.0.3. So remember the version of Chrome is different, okay? So why did this happen right now? That where is 1.3, right? So what happens is that Selenium runs with a Chrome driver that belongs to your computer. So what I did earlier, which is my previous classes, is that let me see which Chrome driver. So what I did is that I installed the Chrome driver into this tab. Okay, so when you put the Chrome driver into this specific location, we don't have to specify, we don't have to put it like this, okay, because Selenium knows exactly where to get it from. So now I did that, but it has the previous version. So we're gonna tell Selenium, don't look at here, but look at here, okay? Don't look at this Chrome driver. This is an older version and it belongs to my computer. Please look at this version. That's what we will have to tell Selenium to make sure it works. How do we do that? We have to say system dot set property, okay? And set property takes two value, okay? So, and both of them are in string. How do I know if it's a string or if it's a integer, guys? What is a string in Java? Who can answer this question in the meantime?
Quotations.
Any text?
Yeah, when you have double quote, anything inside of double quote like this is a string. Okay, notice it's not complaining at all. So just keep in mind anything inside of double quote is a string. So now let's go back to our cheat sheet. Cheat sheet says that system.setProperty, and we need WebDriver.Chrome driver, okay? And then we have to use this, right? Right here. WebDriver.Chrome.driver. So the first one is, I'm gonna try to get exactly same, otherwise it's not gonna work. Java is a case sensitive language. So, okay, so we always have to make sure that we have uppercase, lowercase correctly. So web driver dot from dot driver, okay? That's the first one. The second one is the location of this guy. So I'm gonna right click. I'm gonna go ahead and copy path, okay? Copy path, and then I'm gonna say, you have absolute path that gives you the whole, exactly where it's located. Okay, you have content path and you have a regular file name. So I'm gonna take the content path. That works fine for me, but for Windows users, right, you're gonna be seeing something like this. You can actually use this, okay? System.get property will also get that specific location of the Chrome driver. But this is an example, so you can actually, I don't think copy paste work. This guy's restricted it, right? So you'll have to type it, okay? So now that we have this, and let's run it to see how this takes care of. Okay, so now you can see that it opened up the browser for a brief second and it closed. So I'm gonna see what happened again. So it seems like no matter what, it's still going and looking into my old Selenium. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete this from my location so that way we can see what happens. Okay, this specific location is an expected location for Selenium to look for the Chrome driver. Okay, so since it's there, it's going there first. Okay, that's the problem. So I'm gonna go ahead and open bin and delete it. Okay, so open user /local/bin, and that I gotta find my Chrome driver and go ahead and delete. So I could have just go ahead and do it through here, but I'm doing it to show you guys this is also another way to delete. Chrome driver. Okay, I gotta locate this. Good. Let me know if you guys see it. I don't see anything. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and search it real quick. I'm gonna go into the bin. Okay, bin doesn't have it. That means where is it? Local bin and then Chrome driver. What? Okay, so I'm gonna try to delete it from here. If I want to delete this guy, all I have to do is cd, and I'm gonna go into bin. Okay, so bin, and I'm gonna say rm. Okay, rm will go ahead and remove this Chrome driver. And done. Okay, so now if I say which Chrome driver it doesn't have, you see, Chrome driver not found because I removed it using this command. Okay, this is Unix command that I'm using, Linux in Unix into my Mac. So I'm gonna go ahead and run it this time, and this time I'm gonna go ahead and remove this. I'm gonna put a wrong location. Okay, so let's see. I'm expecting an error, and then we go from there. Okay, right away it gave me an error. Okay, so it says that this WebDriver Chrome driver. So I'm gonna copy this guy and I'm gonna replace it right here. That's what I wanted to look originally. And then it says the property is not matching. So in this case, I'm gonna again copy the path and copy the content root. I'm gonna paste it right here. Now I'm gonna run. And this time it's gonna give you this. So whoever is using Mac, okay, just pay attention. Because your Mac has some sort of extra security situation, it says Chrome driver cannot be open because the developer is not verified. Okay, so that is perfectly normal for the first time. When you see this, you're gonna click on system preference. You're gonna then go ahead and go to the security and privacy. You're gonna go ahead in general, and then you're gonna click on cancel. Once you click on cancel, you're gonna see Chrome driver was blocked. So we're gonna say allow. Okay, allow anyway. Once that is done, you're gonna rerun this test, and now it's gonna give you permission again. It's gonna give you an option to say, okay, what do you want to do? I'm gonna say I'm gonna open it, And at this point, Chrome was open. Okay, so Chrome driver is, Chrome browser is open through the driver, and it doesn't, right now, we didn't provide anything extra. It says Chrome is being controlled by a automated test software. So far, so good. Anybody will have any sort of issue up to get this much, guys? We're all good. Okay. All right,
Yes.
that's good. Okay, so now that you opened a Chrome directly from your own machine using Chrome driver, and now this has a name. This is a variable. Okay, how many people knows what is a variable?
I know.
Data type.
Okay, you want to tell us what is the variable?
It's a container to store values.
Okay, how many people doesn't know what is a variable? Guys, like I said, just be honest so I can explain and move on, right? I don't have to you know, kind of grill you guys for no reason. Okay, so everybody knows what is a variable, so that's good. We established that. I'm not going to explain that. So now I'm going to take the driver variable. The variable data type is a web driver. This is a interface that allows you to bring Chrome driver, right? So now I'm going to say, I'm going to call this variable driver, and I'm going to say, get me something, okay? Now, as soon as I put a dot after the driver, it tells me a whole range of options that I can use. It says get and then string s. So this one takes a string. I'm going to use webdriver.get, and it does take a string. The string, I'm going to create it outside as a variable. So I'm going to create another variable, which is a string type. So I'm going to say string. I'm going to say test underscore URL, or you know what, Java, we have to use something like this, test underscore URL, camel casing, meaning first letter is smaller, right? And after that, each letter of each word will be, first letter of each word will be uppercase for easy readability. Okay, this is the standard of writing code in Java. Now I said test URL, and then I'm going to put my URL here, and then it's done. Semicolon is to end. So let's say we want to go to Google, right? That's the first place everybody probably goes after they learn to do some coding. Okay, so I'm going to copy this URL. Notice I didn't type it in, I copied it because the URL can be different. Okay, it has HTTPS and www. I don't want to make a mistake, so I go ahead and copy it directly from the browser. So URL is probably the only thing you want to copy and paste. Everything else you should type for learning purposes. So keep in mind. So now that we have a string, and this get method takes a string. Okay, so somehow it takes a string. At this point, if I want to use test URL, do I have to keep the quotation, or do I can use without the quotation? So everybody understood, right? What is a variable? Now, how to use a variable? That's what I'm asking. How to use this variable? We created a variable on line number 11, guys. Okay, and if this is too small, let me know. I can make it bigger. Let's see. Okay, that should be big enough. Line number 11, we created a variable, and the data type is string. I want to use this variable so that way it can use this value. Now, how do I use it? This method takes a string variable. So how do I use it here?
With quotation, yeah.
With quotation, but anything, but that's kind of like defeating the definition of the string, right? Anything. So if I put this guy right here, you're saying this is how you use it?
It should.
But when you put a quotation, didn't you say earlier that, and when you put a quotation, it becomes a variable, it basically becomes a string itself. So the name became a string at this point, right?
Yeah.
So now this is a new thing. It is not even the old thing. When you wrote the line number 11, you actually told Java to say, hey, remember this name. I'm going to use this name later. and when I call this, please give me this value. Okay, because a variable is a container that holds a value, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so now this guy is holding a value, and the value is this.
So
Now you
just,
want to use this value,
I
but
think without quotation. Without quotation.
why without quotation?
So that way gives the this
Tell
Why without quotation? Because, okay, so we established one thing is that whenever you apply code, it becomes it becomes a string. So you taking the name, you making it a string it doesn't do much, right? It really doesn't do much because it's not the same. It's no longer the same. If you remove the string, if you remove this and notice now it's happy and healthy, it's because Java already knows what test URL is. Do you have to still put this quotation? No, whenever you apply quotation, it becomes its own thing. So because you declared in line number 11 to say test URL is equal to this, please remember, right? So let's see, one of you. So let's say we're saying Rakib is equal to himself, right? For example. So whenever people call Rakib, or at least in here, whenever I say Rakib, that means he's the one who's going to answer it, right? That's the value is basically himself. Same thing, you're saying that test URL is the name that I gave to this value, right? So whenever I call this, for humans, for us, when we call this, we basically telling the computer that this value to be used. Okay, so now if I say driver.get, get method is supposed to bring you something. Okay, get means we already know it's supposed to bring you something, and we're saying bring me the test URL. Will it bring me this, or will it actually go and bring me this?
bring you the Google. The
Okay.
URL.
All right. So this tells me, guys, like I said, and I'm going to be very, very honest with you. This tells me that your Java knowledge, not even basic. Okay. And those who right now, if you didn't understand what a variable and how to use the variable is, then you probably don't know what Java or any programming as of right now. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys at the end what I need from you guys in order to be up to speed with this and continue to do this, right? As I am teaching Selenium, I'm also teaching you guys some Java, but the foundation needs to be there, okay? So we're going to talk about that real quick, but again, this is not to discourage you or anything. This is just to tell you exactly on your face where you are. So that way you can pick it up. You can start to build the foundation of programming, because I don't think you have that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and run it. And this time you're going to notice that it actually visited Google. Okay. So what if I want to type something here? What if I want to type something here through my program? First, I need to know the location. Remember, we talked about on our first class, we talked about something like this, driver.get, driver.find. So we have to find element. There's two kind. This is a list and this is one. So how many we're finding? One or two? We're finding one. So I'm going to use this, and it says in here, I can use many things, right? So now, before I go any further, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to inspect, and I'm going to go ahead and click this guy to find out what it is that is happening. Hold on. First, I'm going to move this to the bottom so I can kind of deal with it. So notice it has a name and it's Q. Okay. If the name is Q, I'll probably use that. I can use other attribute. Okay, name is the attribute and the value for that attribute is Q. Okay, just like that, we have other value and attribute here, but I choose to use name for now. Okay, so we'll talk about the locator and selector, but this is something to give you guys an idea how this works. And now I can type whatever I want. So now is the queue, right? Notice by is automatically red. That means we need to import what by means. Okay, so I'm going to click on that. It immediately imported from Selenium. So now by has a meaning. Once that is done, I'm going to say send keys. Send keys is to type. Okay, send keys method will allow you to type something on the browser. This has nothing to do with Java. This is just a method from Selenium. Okay, so now here I can type to say, let's say you're looking for MacBook Pro. Okay, so you're looking for MacBook Pro, and this is the line is typed. We're gonna go ahead and run it at least up to this much and see what happens, and then we can move on after that. Okay, so do you see it typed it, right? So now you have to simulate human being, right? So as soon as you type, don't you click return from your computer? So if you have a Mac, you'll click return, or if you have Windows, you'll click enter. This is what you're gonna do. The next line after typing, we should be clicking on return. So now I can take the same exact line, and instead of like typing, I can say hit enter from this location. From this location, I want to hit enter. So I'm gonna say keys is the, okay. So I'm gonna click on keys, and now it tells me what I can do. I can do up arrow, down arrow, whatever is the case. So let's look for enter. Okay, so, and that's it. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and run this and show you how that works. Typed it, and now you have your result, right? Now you can do validation. Now you can say, I want to verify this, I want to verify that, whatever is the case. Now let's take a few minutes break. I'm going to need a glass of water for myself. Already started to hiccups. But so far, guys, I already warned you guys in the very beginning of this class that it's going to go really like 0 to 100 in no time. And I just want to know if anybody here at this point think that this is, maybe this is not for them and they don't want to do this, because I will 100% support anybody needs extra time, extra help for them to get to this much, at least get to up to speed and all that. But I want to know, because this is a career oriented training, right? I cannot come and invade your personal space and say, no, you should be doing this and you should be doing that and all of that. Everybody here is an adult, everybody's here for a job. So there is no need for me to come in and be really, really, drilling everybody in every single class, or even coming more aggressive way. There is no need for that, right? Everybody here have a purpose. So now my question here is that at this point, if this is looking too much for you, there is a solution to make sure that you're up to this much. At least you can get up to speed with this, but it requires for your cooperation. It requires for you to spend time. Who here cannot spend at least 2 hours a day? Just 2 hours a day. I don't need you to spend 8 hours a day. Okay. Everybody here can, right? Because the next class I will find out if you spend 2 hours a day or not, right? So at least, like I said, we want to make sure that you be successful, and I'm not asking for much, right? I'm trying to work with you guys as much as possible. And that means that normally 3 to 4 hours, and we do give a lot of homework, and I actually give a lot of homework on the automation side. Otherwise, without practice, trust me, you will never learn automation without practice. This has a lot of value, meaning you go out there, look for a job. This automation will help you get the job, but most importantly, this is gonna keep you in the job. Okay, this is gonna make your job less fearful, and this is gonna help you also be a QA engineer, not just a QA tester who's gonna coming in and to do a human testing, right? So this will be a lot of value, but if I don't have commitment from you guys in terms of spending time, trust me, I can go over the class real fast. Okay, I can go over the class. I can actually show you guys everything there is about automation. At the end of the term, you will actually get nothing out of it. if you don't practice. So up to this much, who here can practice up to this much at least? I need you to say, yes, I can. Next class, I want to see you, and I'm going to tell you exactly what to do. Some of you guys still probably didn't complete IDE. So who here right now can tell me that you guys didn't finish IDE? Because we're going to do at the end of the class, we're going to give you guys a couple minutes to go over those homework to make sure that you did the IDE. Saif, were you able to do it?
No.
Can you tell me why?
I don't really have a good laptop.
Okay. So technical issue. And anybody else here that didn't do it?
You are talking about the homework?
Yes, from the last class.
Yeah, I did it.
Okay. All right. So it seems like everybody did it except for Saif. So we are going to go over that at the end of the class. I don't want to jump like really fast, because right now, like typically what we do is that we write a test case using this, and that might be too much for the day. So let's take it easy. Here up to this much, any question that you cannot do it or you can do it. So this is probably should take you 30 minutes at max if you follow word by word. Okay, so everybody's committing to this, that you will be able to do it. Okay, so let's talk about some, maybe give you guys some motivation, maybe some talk about how we're going to proceed in the future classes. This is my third class onto automation, and I made it pretty clear for you guys is that you need the hard work here. Okay, if you somehow didn't absorb other materials, that is totally fine. It's going to be my responsibility to bring you up to speed, even on other topics. Today, we learn about not only Selenium, but we also learn about how to create a string type, okay, variable, and then later how to use it, okay? So just like that, little by little, I'm going to bring you guys up to speed. But for that to happen, I need each of you guys to say, okay, this is going to be something that I will take it as serious as possible, so that way I can make the most out of this class. Otherwise, listening to the class is really not going to help. Programming or anything technical related, unless you do it, you're not going to learn it. So even if you go out there to become a plumber and you watch every single day, right, somebody's doing it, but then when it comes about you doing it, you can't. Right? You're nervous, you just don't know where to start. And that's exactly what happens with programming, right? Just because you remember, oh yeah, it is a string type. Oh yeah, it is a, we have to use quotation. It doesn't really help, because when it comes about programming, it's not just like a simple thing, is that setting it up and getting up to this much, you may face issues. And those issues you're going to be overcoming by Googling, by researching, right? As a programmer, we do 80–90% of the time we Google, right? And it's because not only myself, there are people out there who faces similar problems, and they also Google. And some people are generous enough to post their finding to say, okay, hey, I had this issue and now this is the solution. And that's what we look for. So everybody contributes. This is a community, right? So out there, developers, they have communities to go in and to say, okay, I'm facing these specific issues. Anybody else have this issue? In pretty much, and there is no limitation like, okay, United States is separate, and no, everybody in the whole world will chip in and say, okay, I never had this issue, but the solution is this. And you get the solution this way. Does it mean that you're kind of copying somebody else's code? I don't think so. That is not copying somebody else's code. That is called research. Okay. And when it comes about programming, because you are engineering something new, for example, this test case was never written before, right? The product that we're working on, suppose Google is coming out for the first time, that product is brand new, therefore the test case is brand new. So we're really engineering the test, right? So when you engineering things, it does have a standard to make sure that we follow the right thing, we do the right thing. But also when you engineer things, you have to come up with a solution that will work, right? You have to come up with solution, and anything that will work will be a possible solution. But then we look for the most efficient solution there are out there. So you got 20 solutions. It only makes sense if you pick the efficient one. Okay. All right, so let's go further with this test case a little bit. But like I said, any problems here, let's say you guys have to ask questions. The only way you can ask question in the next class if you did this, right? So just keep that in mind. The next class, we need to be able to do it this much. If you can post the question on the group, right? So Saif, if you had an issue with your computer, you could have easily texted and say, hey, listen, this is what's happening with my computer. And, but again, for the IDE, you don't even need a computer that is good enough to work with, right? All you need, because the IDE is a browser plugin, right? So I don't see how the relevancy comes in here, right? Computer versus your browser. Okay, so that might be you couldn't have enough time, whatever is the case you're working. But like I said, if you are not going to be using the time, if you're not going to be at least spending a couple hours and say, okay, this is what I'm stuck in, I cannot do it, that's totally perfectly fine. If you tried and it didn't work, and then you come to me, I'm going to set up that extra time to make sure that I help you to move forward. But if you never came to me and then the next class starts and then there is nothing like coming from you in terms of homework, it just doesn't really help me at all. Right here, I'm not getting help to go and move on to the next topic. Okay, unless you guys are committing to stay in this class for the next 1.5 years or 2 years, 2-3 hours is 100% essential daily basis. Daily basis, guys. This is not going to be, you're not going to just show up in work and show your face and expect people to pay you, right? You're going as a technical person. You're going to go and you're going to be saying, okay, I write automated tests. I'm a QA engineer. Even for you to say that, it takes something. Even for you to say that, you have to be able to capable of doing something. Imagine your lead brings you and puts you, let's say, into a group coding session and say, okay, let's write this test together. And now you can't even write a simple variable. Now you don't even know where to start. Okay, what if the lead says, okay, let's get me started first, and then we'll see what kind of issues we face. And you don't even know where to begin. That just shows that you have really zero idea about programming. You have zero idea about Selenium itself, and you have zero idea about writing automated tests. So a developer who's doing application development, who might not be able to write automated tests right away because they're not familiar with Selenium, are they capable? Yes, because they know programming. So it will be a matter of time for them to be able to jump in and start writing automated tests. But is that best use of their time? No. They should be focusing on creating application, and we should be focusing on writing automated tests. If you don't know programming, if you don't know anything at all, then that's where we have issues. Okay, so with that said, I expect the next class at least this much. Okay, I'm gonna take 5 minutes break right now, and this is for all of you guys. Take 5 minutes break, get a coffee, and we're gonna do some basic programming before even doing any of this. Okay, so we're gonna do a few Java basics, and then we move on so that way next class you're up to speed. Okay, you're pretty much you can probably move on and do the next class. Okay, so the next class, in order for us to even move on and do anything advanced, we need some basics. Okay, so guys, take a 5 minutes break. When you come back, just make sure you're caffeinated and you can kind of focus and pay attention.
Yeah, I have a question because where you are, I'm not there. So I will. So what should I do? Should I like?
how much time you're using per day. Like I said in the very beginning of my class, if
No,
you
whatever you
really
are doing on your computer, I'm not able to do so. Definitely, I will watch your video and I will try.
yeah, obviously this is something wasn't done before, right? So if you don't know how to do it, that's totally fine. The what I brought in is that the last class when we had homework and nobody did it, right? Even today we have few people that didn't do the homework, correct? And imagine like the next class we come in and nobody did this, right? Let's say majority of you guys don't do this. Can I move forward? I don't think it's going to be fair to move forward. Now I'm just going to be talking to a group of people that have no idea, right? I'm not asking you to say, okay, can you do this right now? Because you haven't done this class, right? I'm
Okay,
asking you later, can you do this, right?
I will
You
do that.
spend 2 hours per day. You're going to struggle with this. You're going to basically go through the frustration, all the issue that you'll face. And at the end, you're going to come back and say, oh, it took me a while, but I was able to do this. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for you to like copy exactly what what's in here without facing any issues. I want you to face issues so that we can learn.
I will try my best.
Okay. All right. So come back
Thank
in
you.
5 minutes, guys, all of you guys. And then, yeah, you don't have to get out of the meeting. Just, mute yourself, go out there, get a glass of water, coffee. I'll do the same. And then we'll start learning some basics of Java. All right, guys, I think you guys are back. I should have paused the recording, but anyway, it's only 5 minutes. Everybody's back, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me make sure that everybody's back. Otherwise, we're gonna go into something and probably have to start over. All right. So one thing that you're gonna notice is that when you write your tests initially and you have your Chrome opens, it's gonna continue to open a new Chrome. Okay. So now what's happening? This is my regular Chrome, and then it's keep opening a new Chrome. In the bottom, you can see. What's happening is that every time you're telling Selenium to open a new Chrome, it will open a new Chrome, and that's exactly, it's brand new. It doesn't have association with the previous Chrome, or it doesn't really use any of the material that previous Chrome has. It could be shortcut or anything. So every time it is opening a brand new Chrome. So if you're running your test 15 times, it will keep 15 different browser. Okay. How do you fix that situation? You have to close after running the Chrome, right? You have to tell Selenium, okay, after running the test, I want you to close it, right? You can say driver.close, and it will close it. Okay. So close button, basically return type is void. That means it has no return, but it does something for you. Okay. So the void means it doesn't have a return. Okay. So I'm going to run it again, and this time this browser is going to close right here. Just focus right there. 1, 2, 3, it's done. Okay, see, this time the browser is no longer is there. Okay, so how do I write a single line comment in Java, guys? You can answer this.
Slash
How many slash?
2.
Double slash, right? Okay. Close browser. So this is just a comment to make sure that people understand what this line is. That's it. Why do we write comment? Comment is written because we want other people to also understand our code, so we can write some comments to say, okay, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Right now, you might not understand what these do. So I can say something like this, okay, find search bar and type, right? Type string. And then I can also say something like this. This one is to type. Okay, so click enter, or sorry, press enter from keyboard. Okay, that's the simulation that we're doing. Okay. Something like that. And then like right here, provide location of the Chrome driver. Okay, and then create or open Chrome. Okay, so I'm just writing comments so you guys can understand. Now it's probably easier to understand how things are. Okay, so visit Google. Okay, so this is how much work I need you to do for the next class. Okay, this should not take more than 30 minutes if you have the patience to listen to this video from the beginning and then just follow through. Okay, sometimes it's also easier if you go to YouTube, you'll find even shorter video, like 10 minutes, and you're going to be able to do the same amount of work. So for any reason, if this video gets longer, just go ahead and use the YouTube video also. Okay, so let me go into, let me close this first, wait, because those are unnecessarily there. All right, so let's go to W3. W3 is a place, right? This website is a place where developers use that as a reference, because not everybody is somebody who can just have a photographic memory to remember everything, right? That they learn, and they don't have to know what the syntax is. They don't know how to use things. So developers, they use this to say, and there are many kind of languages here, is that, okay, they're going to use this as a point of reference in order to make sure that they know how to do things properly. And then they will go ahead and implement code in a specific way. So this website is even providing certifications. If you want to get Java certified, this is where you have to pay them. That's the only thing. All right. So with Java, you guys went through, did you guys follow these, or did you guys follow something like that we had? Our own materials, right? I remember I wrote something like a document for this
I
course
follow
material.
both. This is school and also your material.
Okay. All right. So let's get started. The introduction is basically telling you when Java was created, how many people are currently using it, what are the device. But Java is a platform independent language, right? It's because it has JDK, Java Virtual, it's JVM, Java Virtual Machine, which takes your code and then convert it into whatever code the machine likes. So whichever machine you want to run the code, it will run it because it will go ahead and translate it to the native language. Okay, so that's why Java can be used to create anything, right? Really, like you can create apps as well. You can create games, you can create web application, desktop, database connection, and then much more. Even mobile application, because again, what it does is that you can write the code, but then that code gets translated by JVM, Java Virtual Machine. So the question is why Java is platform independent. What does that mean? That means it can run on any platform, any
It's an
devices. Is because, say again?
open source.
Open source has nothing to do with where Java can run, right? Open source means is that Java is just more powerful, meaning people are able to improve over time,
Learn it,
right?
run Linux also.
Yeah, like I said, any device. There are devices out there. It could be Linux, Mac, Windows, Raspberry Pi. We're talking about mobiles like iOS, Android both. And it'll be able to run it because of the feature that it has, because of the tools that it has, which is JVM, Java Virtual Machine, which allows for you to continue to write code in Java, but then it knows where you're running it. So if you run it in Linux, then it will say, okay, I'm going to convert it into whatever Linux understands, right? So it does compile in a way that it can be understood by the machine native language, and then it will still run the code. Okay. So let's get started. So I'll go and click on get started. Get the installation for PCs is very different. It used to be different. I don't know if they updated this material right here, but this used to be when we initially, like when Java, you have to go and install, and once you install, you have to look into the version and so on. This is a setup for Windows. You have to go and specifically update a path into your C drive. And I don't think this is any longer relevant because Java installation process is much more friendly nowadays. You don't have to do this, it does it automatically. So all of this process for installation in Java, I don't think you guys needed it, but if you are able to do this Java course and you're able to do this before, that means you already know that Java was set up. For even Mac users, all you have to do is you have to download JDK. So download JDK. And then all you have to do is click on Java downloads. And then here you choose your Linux, Windows, or Mac. If you do Mac, you have to choose which version that you want, and it will do everything automatically. You don't need to do everything that it says right here. This was a previous version, I believe. All right, so with that said, installation is not a problem, right? Anybody here that have installation problem? Everybody has JDK, everybody has IntelliJ in their system. That's my assumption, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, okay. All right, so the next class, nobody should be coming and saying, I don't have this and I don't have that. Now, let's understand Java syntax. Again, we talked about Java works with class. The class name cannot be lowercase, it has to be uppercase. And then we have to have a main method within. So whenever you see this curly brace, remember, this has an opening and this has an ending. So this one, think about like a bucket, right? This is the bigger bucket. Right here ends, and this is the opening, and it contains this. This has its own bucket, okay? And it contains this, okay? So in order for any program to run, you have to have a class first. And inside of class, you have to have a main method. And then you can execute whatever program you want to execute. For example, this, okay? That's all it says. So if I try it myself, this is more interactive. It doesn't mean that here you can still run complex programs, but it is just for learning purposes. Instead of you setting up locally, you can just do it here. But here you see the system.out.println. This is something that you will have to learn over time, is that this is when you want to output anything, it will print out whatever you want to print out, so that way you can see your code working. What if I never did this, right? I can say something like this. Okay, and I run it, and it's gonna say, wow, it ran successfully. Oh, okay, I need a, okay, so anytime you write a line of code in Java, you have to end it, okay, and the line to say, I don't have any extra more lines. So this is where the ending. Okay, so it's running, and you'll see that it ran, but then it doesn't have anything to say, right? You see, it's all nothing. So how do you know this worked, right? That's when you say system.out.println.
To put the
And
print
this,
command.
say it again.
You need to give the print command in order to print anything. This is the
Exactly. So
system.out.println. That's a print command for Java.
right. What does ln means? Do you know? What is the difference between print and println?
It's create a gap between line. Like
It's not gap, it's a
It
new
is-
line, right?
new line, yeah.
To display
Okay.
single line, we can use print, and for more
So
line, println.
okay, so let's see this, right? We printing twice, right? Two different print statement, and we're using print. Let's see what happens, and then we see what ln does. Okay. What just happened? It basically did it in the same line, right? Didn't create a new line. So let's do now. Let's try ln.
In two separate lines, it will print.
Okay, so now you see it does it in a way. So now you have available tool, print and println, and you have to decide how you're going to use them, where you're going to use them, and when you need them. You are the developer, you are the person who's writing code. So do you need ln or do you need print? It really determined by what you are about to do, what you want to do. Okay, so if you're writing a paragraph, you may need just print. If you're writing, let's say, a new line just for your own sake to see what happens, then you may want to use println. So everything that we talk about in programming and the toolings that we're going to show, like methods and how this method works, it doesn't mean this is the exact way I'm going to do this exact work. It just means that these are available to you. We're showing examples, and you decide how to use them. Okay, so that requires fundamental, that requires basics understanding, right? Basics of programming. And again, I'm going to give you guys 2 sets of homework for upcoming class. Wednesday, no exception, right? No exception. If you're really, really serious, you're going to do it. If you're not serious, that will also really tell me how you want to proceed with this class. But again, we need people to start focusing a little bit, so that way we can still become successful. If for whatever reason you couldn't focus before, this is the chance. This is your chance to say, okay, let me just go ahead and show that I am motivated. I am driven by some sort of motivation that I would like to get a job so that way I can move on and I don't have to hear these people telling me to do homework. Okay. Once you get your job and you're all good, nobody's going to come and say, hey, do your homework, right? And again, this is a crash course, right? This is like a boot camp, and we're not even giving you guys the pressure that you need in order to feel like a boot camp, right? We're trying to be as lean as possible to make sure that everybody is doing the right thing and doing it with their own will, not us kind of like pushing them. Okay. So that is your println. So far, so good. The next thing is output. Again, this is just talking about println, everything that we just talked about. You can print. There is a print method also. We already talked about that. We already get it over with. So I'm not going to cover this. Let's go into the comment. The next one is comment, right? We have single line comment and we have double line comment. Single line is basically, we just did it ourselves right here. Okay, single line comment. Why do we write comment? Again, we're writing comment. Let's see. Comment can be used to explain Java code and to make it readable. It can also be used to prevent execution when testing alternative code. That means if you wrote a line of code and you don't want those code to be executed, you just wrote it for the knowledge and you kept it there in case if you ever need, then you can also use double code to put it as an alternative. So for example, I don't want to use close yet because I want to see my things. I can just go ahead and write go and put a double slash, and now it will not execute. Okay, this becomes comment. But when I need this, I can just go ahead and remove it, and now I can use this, and it will go ahead and do what it says, closing the driver. Okay, so that is a single line comment. But what if I want to have multi-line comments? So what if I have a paragraph? So for example, I go back to my test and I want to write the objective of this test or something, right? So I want to write a paragraph, for example, it's multi-line. Obviously, it's not just single line. I will start with /* and then end with /*. So now I can say this is a first test that we did in Selenium web driver. We will continue to learn about basics of Java and basics of Selenium web driver. We will also continue to do homework so that way we can move forward with learning new, right, topics in both SE, right, and Java, right? Selenium, basically, short first. So now you just wrote a paragraph, and this has no association with the code itself. This is just like when you need it, you use it. Again, the tool you just learned that multi-line comment works this way. If you need it, you use it in your program. If you don't need it, you don't use it. But this is what I'm here to show you what is available to you when you're writing Java program. Okay. All right. So we established two things: comment, no more, right? So up to this much, fluent, right? Any problem with any of these topics? Up to this much, we should be fluent right now. Okay, so
Yep.
that seems like a yes. Okay, now variable. Let's talk about the variable because that's like the first thing anybody teaches in programming. you go out there, you try to do computer science. If you really don't learn the basics of programming, it can be any programming, Java, C#, C++, anything. If you don't learn basics and you go and try to join a computer science class, you're gonna come out and you're gonna probably cry, or you're gonna just say, okay, I just wanna quit. This is just too much, right? Now, does it mean that it is that, hard? Or does it mean that you are unprepared? So when you are unprepared and go into a battle or any kind of war, for a fact you're not gonna win. You're not gonna win. You don't have the right tools. You don't have the right mindset. That's when, like, when you are going into engineering fields, like going computer science or doing some electrical engineering, whatever is the case, you are about to go to a battle of 4 years. In that 4 years, you're going to learn things that you never even learned. But most importantly, you need to have some sort of mindset, right? You need to have a computer science mindset or engineering mindset where you say, okay, I'm going to study as much as I need. But most importantly, in the beginning, you need the basics, so that way you don't go to the class and you feel like you're clueless, right? Professors are not going to go as detailed as this much, right? Because they only have 6 months per subject. They will probably do one class about variables and that's it, done. And then they move on to the next. And then before you know it, you have a final project where you have to build a program to do something, right? Or build a game or whatever is the case, right? So it will, like I said, it will feel like too much if you don't know the basics. Here, at least we're giving you the opportunity to learn the basics. This is your second time doing this Java class, but again, you still have the opportunity to do it in your house. Get a Java course, YouTube it. YouTube has 2 to 3 hours courses in Java. They only talk about basics, and that's what you want to target. But even if you just watch them, you can't learn programming. You have to make sure that you are following through. You pause and you do it yourself, and then you play. You pause and do those code that they wrote, and then you play again, right? That's the only way you're going to learn. All right. Any programming language, they have variables. Here in Java, we have different type of variables. We have string, integer, float, char, and boolean. And there are other variables we can talk about. But now string is basically stores text, right? Anytime you put double quotation, and you can put a paragraph, you can put even a single word, you can put multiple word, whatever is the case, as long as it's surrounded by double quote, it's a string. We established this, right? We got it, right? Because this is a question that you guys struggled earlier today. Anything that has double quote, starting and ending, looking like this, it's a string type variable, and that's just stores text. It could be a paragraph, it could be 1 word, it could be 2 word, it could be 3 word, I don't know, right? It could be anything. Okay, anything that you see in your keyboard, special characters, non-special characters, numeric value, alphanumeric value, as long as they're in case two quotation on both sides, that is a string. Then you have integer. Integer stores whole number. That doesn't mean decimals like 0.99 or 0.1. Integer means is a whole number. So that means is that integer doesn't need that double quotation. When you put numbers, your program, your Java program understand what number means. So I can say int, let's say something, let's say hours for now. Let's say our hours is equal to 3 hours. That's it. It knows what 3 means. So you don't have to say int is equal to this, right? And this is where the problem is, because you just convert it into a string, or you defeat the purpose of integer. So integer is supposed to be a whole number, 300 is fine, not ... 99, okay? It is a whole number. So just keep that in mind. As long as you put a whole number, Java knows what number is, therefore it will work properly, right? So a variable integer, again, is a whole number without decimal. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, whatever is the case. Then we have float. Float is a variable that stores floating point numbers, which with a decimal such as 199. So what if you have a need for getting decimals? If you do have a need for decimals at some point, do you not even use decimals in programming? That would create so much problem in the real world if we couldn't use decimals in programming. It would create so much problems. You have no idea. It will probably end the world. That's how much of the problem it will create. So now, float allows you to have decimals, okay, right there. And then, so basically float and integer is going to be very similar. One has decimals, the other one doesn't. Okay, just keep that in mind. We have char. Char is just a single character encased with a single quote. In Java, a single quote, a single character becomes a character value. Okay, and I'll tell you where char is being used. Then we have Boolean. Boolean stores only true and false. It's only two possibilities. Either it's going to be true or false, yes or no. Therefore, programming language like Java, they know what true and false means, so you don't have to think about double quotation. When you do double quotation, then you're basically creating a string. Therefore, all of these no longer applies. So keep in mind, these is the different type of variables, okay? So let's create some of these and then we can move on from this class. So we move on from this topic. So we got the integer. We already did the string type earlier, so I'm not gonna duplicate my work. It's right here. And then we talking about the next one is float. Float is basically, I can say seconds, maybe whatever. I'm just giving some random name to this variable, so I don't know. Second maybe like 5.88 seconds, and now float requires a casing, okay, cast, which is float, just like this. Okay, so if you're using float, you have to provide a float type in the very beginning, right here, and then you have to also put the casing as well. Okay, so this is your float number. Then we are talking about char. Char is just let's say grade. We can say grade is equal to single a, and that's it. This is just a char. We talked about it. And then we have Boolean. Boolean could be true or false. So like, let's say past is equal to false, right? For example, okay, let's say true. And then t should be lowercase, I believe. Okay, that's why. And then the other Boolean, let's say another failed is equal to false, for example. And that's it. So we created variables for all data types that there is in Java. Now, if I want to use them, I can, right? Let's say I want to print all of them, right? So I can start to print and I can do something with it. Let's say we do some math. Let's do some math, guys. Printing variables is the next topic anyway, and we learned it. So we just basically go ahead and say print.out, and then we do whatever we need to do. But let's do a character, a string as well. Name is equal to like something John. Okay, and let's see, age, maybe 23. And then that, okay. So some things that make sense. I'm trying to make sure it's something that we create. Maybe we create a program that makes sense, okay? So let's say, we want to do something with his name and age and the grade, whatever is the case, right? So we can say something like system dot print, system dot out dot println. So we can say something like name plus is a, okay, let's see, is a space, I'm going to say age, right, space and space, need to do a plus. Okay, so let's see what it prints out first, and then we can continue. So notice we use name and age so far, right? This variable. And if we execute this, let's see what is the result. And then we can go from there. John Smith is a 23 years old. Okay. This is what we did with our program, right? So if he is a 23 years old, you can calculate to find his birth year if you know that he's 23 years old. Can you? So let's say we have another one, is like system dot. We have to say, let's say if we want to find birth year, what do you do? What is the map here, right? If you, and this is not something related to programming, right? So if let's say John is 23 years old, and you know that he's 23 years old, and this year, today is basically 2022. How do you find his birth year? What is the math? What is the formula?
2022 minus 23. I mean,
Minus 23. Yeah, so that means he's 1999, right?
Yeah.
Born. Okay, so I'm gonna create a, because this is a whole number, right? So I'm gonna create a new variable called int. I'm gonna say birth year, right? So this is my variable, and I'm gonna do some math, and I'm gonna say, okay, int current year. So we need current year is equal to, let's say 2022. Okay, this is your current year. Int birth year should be current year minus the age, correct? Right? Now I can say something like system.out.print ln he was born in the year of birth year is this. Let's run it. The whole purpose of creating variable is because reusability. You want to be able to use it whenever you need. So as you can see, he was born in the year of 1999. And now, does it have to be John all the time? It doesn't have to be. We can actually take values from this and say, we can prompt for user to enter value, and then we can actually tell them to give us this information, and then from there we can determine what they are, right? So if you have to print these two, you can say, okay, so if you want to get input value, we can say like, I think there is the topic right there somewhere, input values. And just type it in here, Java. User input, okay, that's the one. Okay, right there. Okay, I didn't find it before. Okay. So user input basically will go ahead and store this information, right? So we're gonna just take that for now, and then I'll explain it here. So for example, name, right? If you want to create a true program, you want to make sure that you're doing it based on what you're getting. So name shouldn't be coming from here. So I'm going to go ahead. This is alternative code. So I'm going to leave there. So my object, which is name, is equal to scanner. I'm going to enter your name, please, right? So be more generous. Okay, once that is done, I'm gonna do the same thing. And this is age, and I'm gonna say enter your age, please, right? So in this case, we have two variables. I'm gonna go ahead and do this, okay? Once that is done, we can say that, so age is basically cannot be applied because why? When you grab the age, it becomes a, it basically is a string coming from the user. So we have to convert this into a very integer, right? So now I'm going to change the name to this first. I'm going to say input age. That means it's coming from the user. And then I want to say int integer is equal to we take the parse int, and I'm gonna go ahead and do this. So it will go ahead and integer parse integer. That's good. Yeah, okay, that's fine. String value of this, okay. So basically what we just did here is that we and parse int is in here, so I'm not just coming out of this with my own mind. I don't want to like look through everything, so I'm going to go ahead and Google it and it'll tell me. I'm going to say convert string to int java int, and then it will probably give me, where's w3? Okay, it's fine, we'll get it from somewhere else. As you can see, parse int right there, and that's it. We're just basically doing integer dot parse int, so I did it wrong. 1 second, I will go ahead and integer dot parse int, that's what it should be, and then I can go ahead and enter this. Let's see, and we still have to wrap it the value off, right? Because the value is coming from the user itself. So now if you run your program, we're gonna see something totally different. Now, obviously, we don't need all this stuff that is happening before, right? Because that is for testing, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and comment out everything else that up until here, the name, okay? Oh, not that, 1 second. Okay, so we don't need up to this much for now. I'm gonna comment all of that out. As you can see, double quote, double, right? And now I'm gonna run my program and see what happens next, okay? So driver.close, driver has no meaning also because we commented out, so we have to comment this out too. And then we're gonna rerun this. Okay, let's see what happened. Java input string, enter your name. Okay, so we didn't enter our name, so I'm gonna have to go back to terminal, and that's where we can enter, right? So, and that's what happened. So go ahead and run this now. So we can enter your name for input Java matching value. Okay, so something is happening here. 1 second. Scanner.system.in IN. For input string Java scanner match value, blah 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 blah. Okay, it's not prompting for some reason. Okay, let's see, user input. Didn't we just do this? Okay, let's see. Okay. All right, so this is, we need to also do the next line too. Okay, yeah, we have to apply this way. Okay, so let's go in there. So creating object, first you have to create an object, right? So my object is this, and we kind of completely skip that. The name is this, and now it's going to work. And so my object next line, and then it's gotta be this one too. Okay, a second. Okay, so let's see, wherever it fails, we're gonna fix it. So let's see what happens. Run. So it's okay, so we need to enter this one before asking for the, before even I ask for the name, I have to put the print so I know exactly where to enter, otherwise it becomes really unknown. So I'm gonna run it. I just rearrange things. So see where it says please enter your name. So I'm gonna say this time maybe like different $can whatever, right? Enter. And now you can see the next line it fills is here, right? This next line is basically filling at the age. So I'm gonna say int user input in Java, for example. Let's see what it is. The integer. So we got the next line we used already, int next int. So it is used to scan the next token for a input as an integer. Okay, so that's what we need. We don't need to convert it. Okay, so next int, let's see, scanner. So here I'm gonna say my object dot next int, and this, okay, an int. So that's good right there. We don't need to say scanner all the time. This is where we specify value. So now we're grabbing this as a input age. We don't need this anymore because it's already a integer. So I'm gonna say age. Then we will use this one at the top so we know what is asking first, and then we go from there. So let's go ahead and enter. So notice, like, even if I'm writing this specific program, I have to go back and see and reference to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. All right, so enter your name. I'm gonna say again, Delaware Khan, enter your age. I'm gonna say maybe this time is 29, enter. And you can say Delaware Khan is 29 years old and he was born in the year of 1993. So now what you can do with this program is basically gives you a little bit of glimpse about what kind of program you can create. You can actually create games if you need to. You can create tic-tac game. You can actually ask, okay, enter this, enter that, and then based on that, you do some calculation, and it will then do some stuff for the user. So a lot of the things that you'll learn over the time for the next class and so on, you're going to see that we're creating mortgage calculator. So if you're buying purchase price, your interest rate, and all of that stuff together, you're gonna get at the end, you're gonna be entering this information in the beginning, and then at the end it will tell you like, okay, this is how much your monthly payment will be if your interest rate is 5.1, whatever is the case. And this is like some of the programs that we'll create over time with Java, which is just Java. Okay, and Selenium comes into the picture in the very beginning of the class, where we write some tests to make sure that we're still practicing and being able to move forward with Selenium. So far, any question, guys?
No.
No.
All right, so we finished up until where? Let's see, because we want to make sure that, okay, so we finished up until variables, and we learned all this, and we learned how to print them. We learned how to do calculation with them, and pretty much this was it. The next one is going to be data types, more data types, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, there is more data types that you will have to learn. Once that is done, we're going to learn about casting, operating, and everything. At this point, I'm assuming you don't know any Java at all, right? Whatever happened, I don't know, right? You guys weren't able to absorb. Maybe you guys didn't do the practice after the class, whatever is the case. But in my situation, you guys will have to practice. So the next class, I'm gonna make sure that you guys, and each of you guys, I'll test it to make sure that you guys at least are solid understanding about up until this much. So I'm not asking for too much here. From here to here, I'm gonna quiz you guys and everybody's gonna get a question, okay? So, and that's the only way I can make sure that, okay, we finished this much, we conquered it, and now we can move on to the next topics, right? Once that is done, we still didn't even touch the advanced, which is, which is something that we're going to touch while we learn Selenium as well. So this basic is 100% essential from here to here, even for me to get started with Selenium, right? So just keep that in mind. If you are fast enough to actually finish up until here, that's great. That'll be great. You'll get that extra time when we go over this and kind of get this extra knowledge. But this will be a requirement for the next class from here to here. And also, I need you to finish up until here. So at least being able to open Google and being able to type something in Google. That's something that we did that in the very beginning of the class today. And like I said, if you can't do it, reach out, right? If you didn't reach out and then in the class you said that, oh, I couldn't do it because of this and that, whatever is the problem, that means you weren't serious, right? If you facing a problem and you're serious about this, then obviously you're gonna say, oh, I can't do this. I don't know how to do this. And you're reaching out, you're going crazy. That shows that yes, you're there, you're gonna make it. It's just that you need a little bit of extra help. But if you come in here the next class and there is no effort, or you tried it once maybe and then gave up and you move on with your life for that 2 weeks or for that 3 or 4 days, and you didn't really try anything else, that shows that you're not interested, and therefore, we will have to have alternative, conversation, maybe one-on-one to see, where I can help, right? We hate to see people actually giving up in the classes, because no matter where you start, just keep in mind, maybe you started here today, and maybe you're not going to get a job within the next 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, or 6 months, but at least you're on the path, right? You're on that road. If you gave up, that means you're no longer on the road. You're just basically at this point, 3 years goes by, 4 years goes by, and you see your friends and family, everybody's making that progress and going out there and getting jobs, and making changes to their career. They're enjoying financial benefit as well as the, job satisfaction benefit through these things. It's going to be, for you, it's always going to stick with your mind, like, oh, I tried it, but I never finished, or I never did this, or I never did that. This is your opportunity. This class, again, the third class, I'm saying the same exact thing, guys. If you don't put in time and you want to be technical, you cannot be technical, period. The third class, I am noticing, I'm not going to pinpoint out no one, but fix it, get onto the right track, put 2 hours. Consistency matters. Even if you don't have anything for the 2 hours, sit down and try to do something. Google it, YouTube it, and this will at least bring the interest back. Okay, and ask yourself why you're doing this in the first place, right? If you don't have a right answer, oh, why am I doing this? Oh no, I'll be happy with whatever I have. Then the motivation needs to be, you have to kind of like find your motivation at some point, right? Motivation is something that not everybody can help, right? Like if it's not coming from yourself, I can push you here, I can reel you here every day, I can show you 10 times, 20 times, it's not going to be interesting, right? You have to be able to feel interested. And programming is like gaming, right? As soon as you write your first program, you'll be hooked. And from there, you're going to say, oh, can I make it better? Can I make this? Can I make that? You want to make a game. So why don't you, go on YouTube and say, create a Java game with Java basic games. right? And try to see if you can make some progress, if that is something that interests you, right? But you have to find your motivation as of right now. And this doesn't apply to everybody, but I'm talking to everybody as a whole instead of pinpointing anyone here. So find your motivation and ask yourself why you're doing this. And then most importantly, guys, it's not gonna be like, oh, I finished this course and I got a job and done, right? In PNT, people in tech, if you guys ever speak to somebody, friends and family who went to PNT, you're gonna see that people who spends a year and a half or two, and only then they are able to get a job. And it's because they don't do a personal guidance after the training is done. They don't have somebody dedicated to say, okay, I'm gonna market you, I'm gonna show you how to say the right things and all of that. Here we have, once you go to the market, you will have to report to me every day to say, okay, I set up an interview, I didn't set up an interview. And we have a specific channel in WhatsApp that you can post and say, okay, I have an interview tomorrow, I need a prep, I need to know what I need to do, right? And that's when we jump in. PNT doesn't have that. And so is other schools out there where they would require for you to do that, right? For you to prep, for you to go out there and say, okay, what I need in order to be successful in this interview. And here we are telling you what needs to be done in order to be successful. Most importantly, we're going to give you materials that you need for your interview as well. But in PNT, it takes about, sometimes it takes 2 years, 2.5 years, but those who are very, very sharp, who might have some sort of background, they make it within 6 or 7 months. But here, everybody makes it in 6 and 7 months as long as they are doing the right thing. If you did the right thing, regardless of your computer science background or you're coming from accounting background, you will be able to get a job in 6 months if you're doing the right thing. And how do I know if you're doing the right thing or not? Because marketing is going to be very transparent. Once you're out there marketing, you're looking for jobs. I monitor your email. I monitor how many emails you're replying to. I monitor also to see how many recruiters you're talking to daily basis, how many jobs you're applying. You are required to apply a certain amount of jobs per week. So every Sunday will be job application for you, right? And you're going to go out there and you're going to apply, but we're going to give you a boost in the beginning. You're going to get 1,000 application out there for you without you doing anything. So now what happens after thousands application goes out, you get calls every single day, 10, 15, 20 calls from the recruiters who's going to reach out and say, hey, are you interested? I saw your application, right? And then you have to follow up. I'm going to see if you're following up or not, right? So we do the application. It takes a lot of time per person, by the way, 6, 7, 8 hours to even make it 2,000 applications. And it takes at least like, a day for us to build a resume and then building a script. So that way you can sound like a QA guy. And then it takes another 2 to 3 weeks for us to prepare you for the market, right? What to expect, what not to expect, what to say, what not to say, and how do you even sound like somebody with X amount of experience, right? So it takes a lot of work for us, right, to do all of that. Now, once you're out there and you're not doing the right thing, it'll be very apparent. Within the first week, I'll say, okay, you're not doing the right thing. I see your voicemail is full and you haven't even replied to a single one. I'll say, I see your text message, because all of that will be at my disposal. I can check your voicemail, your text at any given time, right? That's how much control that you will, it will be, right? At least from our side, because the phone number, you're gonna get a brand new phone number. You're gonna get a brand new email address. All of them will be created through us. So that way we have all the control to make sure that you're doing the right thing, right? So that's why it is easier to get a job with us, only to those who actually follow through and do the right thing. Because again, we need the basics. I am not looking for somebody who's going to become an expert on writing code. I'm not looking for somebody who's going to become an expert on Selenium and WebDriver. If you can, that's great. That is a great news. That means we can get you a job sooner. But if you're not, that's totally fine, right? That's why we're here, to make sure that We give you the basics, and with the basics, you're going to get a job, and then we're going to continue to help you progress until you're comfortable in your job, right? So guys, like I said, this is your time. Pick up and we're going to be fine. If you don't pick up 3 class from today, I will tell you. You will come and tell me like, I'm sorry, but I can't. This class already ahead of everything that I learned. And I don't think I can because it's just too complex right now. The reason you will say that is because you're not giving yourself the fighting chance. Okay. We didn't start from like all of a sudden, right? Everything is done from scratch up until now from this class. Okay. Anybody can do it with or without programming knowledge right now, up to this much that we do. So practice. I want to see this much work is being done, and I want to make sure that you are basically well known about this many, at least up until testing. But if you can go up to array, that would be like so much appreciated, right? If you can go up to array, then I will test your knowledge a little bit, and then we can dive into like more advanced topics. Okay, so let's talk about commitment, guys. Do a personal commitment, right? Who here that think that this is a reasonable homework until Wednesday? Or who here thinks this is too much?
I think it's okay. I would appreciate if we have the thing in the group chat to see like what specifically we need done. You know, so we don't have to go back into the recording and search where we need to do the homework.
Okay. And keep in mind that you're not limited, right? If one of you guys here is doing really well and finish, you know, you're free to reach out to the others and say, hey, do you need help? I will help you. You know, it's totally fine. We're not going to say you're stepping on our foot or anything like that. It's helping each other, right? So if you finish it and you feel like you want to help others, sure, but don't give them information that you don't even know. So do it yourself first. If you think you got it, that's only after that you want to help others. All right, so I assume that you guys are accepting the homework at this point to say that, okay, I give you a commitment that I will finish by Wednesday. Bare minimum this much up until here, and then bare minimum getting up to speed and being able to at least open up Google and type something on the Google, right? Okay. All right, that's good. That's a good commitment to begin with. Like I said, if forget about what happened in the past, okay? I'm not even gonna say, oh, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you? Forget about what happened in the past. I'm gonna slowly bring you guys up to speed. And whether that is manual, whether that is SQL, whether that is going to be your automation, whether that is your basics of Java, okay? I'm going to slowly introduce those things while we're writing automated tests, okay? So you will know exactly where to apply. You'll know how those are being used instead of learning those individually, okay? Whoever learned those topics early when the earlier class happened is only going to conquer your knowledge, is only going to make you better. So we might repeat few things here and there for the interest of everybody else, but it will help everybody essentially. All right, guys, anyways, your Sunday, enjoy the rest of your day. If there's any question, I will answer, or we will drop from this class today.
I would like to share my screen if you want, like if you like.
Can you tell me the issues or
Regarding
problems?
the last homework.
Yeah, so the last homework, guys, there is 2 things you can do right now. And the last homework is IDE. I was going to go ahead and give you guys a couple of minutes to like go over. That's something that I talk about. So we do have maybe like, okay, so up until 1:30. So each of you guys gonna get 2 to 3 minutes, just go over your test cases. Totally forgot about that. All right, so I've seen being the first person, I'm gonna stop recording. Let me go ahead and, okay, go ahead and start sharing.
Can you see my screen?
No.
Oh, I am on my phone.
So you want to show us from your phone, or you want to show us from your
No, I'm not
desktop?
able to. I think I have to drop from here, and then I have to go on my computer, on my laptop. So by this time, you can
Okay.
add someone else.
Okay. Anybody else want to share their work from the last class?
I will share.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Stop share. Did you see my screen?
Yep. Yep, we can see your screen. You can continue.
Yeah, I'm trying to go my.
It's open in the background. That's why it's not going to open again. Right. So move your.
Okay.
Just move your. Oh no, you need that to be opened. Okay, and then just move your screen a little bit down to see where is it. No. So your whole browser, right? Just drag it down a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now click on Selenium. Okay, just leave it there and then click on. Let's see.
It's just supposed to open when I try.
Do you have another screen, or this is the only screen?
This is on the screen.
Okay. Okay, so just completely quit your Chrome and then reopen. And then make sure you quit, right? Click and quit. Okay. Okay, now click on that.
It should just open. I tried so many times.
Did it? So is right now is the only time is the problem, right? But before it opened.
I hate it. I think I'll just send you the record because
Yeah.
it's working. It was, trust me, it was working. I tried with
Okay.
3 different websites and it was working.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I trust you. So guys, anybody that is having this kind of difficulty, you record the video and post it in the group. Okay. What's gonna happen when you post it in the group is that it shows that you are able to do it and everybody else gets some boost in terms of motivation. That not only, you know what I'm saying? Like if you're in a class and you realize nobody else is able to do it, then you guys, oh, okay, let me not just try too much, right? And that's kind of like, again, as a human being, we have mentality like that. So moving forward, if you're able to do the homework, please post it. So that way, at least your classmates, anybody else see that video, including me, will say, oh, okay, if this person is able to do it, then I can, right? So it's just pushing each other at this point. All right, Hasina, you wanted to show?
Yeah, can I see the last what you did today, because I'm not here. I want to see just screen what you did so I can do the homework.
Yeah, you can get the video. We're gonna share the video within the next couple hours, and just go ahead and
Okay.
view the video. Yeah.
And Jude Bhaiya, can I talk with you for after finish the class for 1 minute?
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys. So 2% tried. Okay, who else want to try to show me their screen real quick?
I want to try.
Okay, so all right, so let's say one by one. Let's say okay, so start sharing. It's fine. Whoever can share first, we'll go from there. Then share.
Oh, should I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So screen share. Can you see my screen?
Mhm.
Can go to Selenium. I try to do a page. I'm not sure so.
Right, Microsoft, and then a searching a text. Okay.
So-
When did you do this? Did you do this like recently, or this is how many test cases you have total?
I don't know. This is 4 right here.
That's not for, that's a single test case. And
Oh, this is a single test case. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought this is 4 different test case. So
Yeah. You probably put everything in the same test case, right? You know, all of them and under the same, all the steps. So that's,
okay.
oh, okay, never mind. I see it. Okay.
So this is 4 different test cases or just one test case?
Got it. Okay. All right. Now this is good. This is a good progress. You're going to come back to Selenium IDE at some point at work too. So now that you know how to use it, that's what I wanted to see. All right. Who else want to go next?
I want to share.
Sure.
Can you see my screen?
Mhm.
So
Yeah. So first of all, I can see that the title of your test is really, really relevant, which is good because yeah, when you write tests, you want to say exactly what you're doing, right, in terms of your title. So this is good. Go ahead. Yeah, I can run.
So I should run all of those together or one by one?
You can do one by one, so that way we don't have any
So
issues.
this is
Then-
my first test case. I want to verify here. I want to see the page title and the text from request form. So
Mhm.
I'm running my test case. And it passed.
Okay.
So in my second one, I want to verify user can see the agent information and can send a message.
Mhm.
In my third test case, I want to verify user must need to enter all the required information to submit the request form and can see the thank you text.
Okay. You have to rerun it because if it's slow in the beginning, that's how it's gonna, yeah, you can stop and rerun right there where the stop sign is right there. Right next to the play. Because it's trying to run right now. Yeah. Yeah, so previously you probably, okay, there we go. Good.
In my fourth test case, I want to verify user can move on the next step 2 page by entering all the information with the agent name and see the text. And the last one, I want to verify user can go to the payment and customer claim page and see the text.
Mhm. So this is on number 2 on your line 2. You can probably you can probably change the locator. Maybe that's why there's this issue. Okay, still working, but okay, the reason why it takes a little bit of time in line 2 is because it waits, because it has 3 to 4 locators that it saved. So it tries each one to make sure that something will work. And it did. Line number 2 eventually will work, but it takes that 30 seconds in the beginning. So if you want to make it faster, you have to change the line 2. If you go back to your test, all you got to do is change the locator.
Here.
This one, yeah. Okay, so where it says, target, change the target. Okay, so now if you choose the second target versus support, yeah. If you choose this, now it's going to be really fast, because what it does is that the first one it tries and then it doesn't work, and then it tries the second one, and second one works. Okay, so in order for it to determine whether it worked or not worked, it waits 30 seconds.
Should I run it again?
You can run it again to see how fast that is now. It should make a difference.
Yes.
Okay, so that's great. So this is probably the most detailed work I've seen so far. So great job. And also this tells me that your mindset is more of focus as a tester instead of just doing something and getting it done. You focused on the validation and the test cases. You focused on basically creating the test cases. I'm sure you created the test cases first and then
Yes.
implemented. Okay,
And
so that's good.
I want to thank you because in our last class, the way you explain about the test case, how to write it and how to create test case, they really help us.
That's great. All right, that's awesome. Let's go into the next person.
Can I share my screen?
Yep. Yeah, if you can, let me stop sharing. Okay, you can share.
Can you see my screen?
All right, 1 second. It's probably going to take a few seconds to start. Okay, it's coming. It's coming. All right, there we go.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, we can see it. Go ahead and start running. Can you hear us?
Can you share my screen? Can you see my screen?
We can. We are seeing your screen. We are seeing. I can rest of you guys hear me? I don't understand. We're seeing your screen.
Yeah, we can see the screen. Yes.
Can you hear us? Yeah, we have to do something about the Zoom situation. You guys have to kind of like experiment it, test it at home with maybe somebody who has Zoom to make sure that everything works. Okay, that's one. Failed. You failed the session. Okay. All right, can you hear us? Let's see.
No, now I can hear you guys.
Okay, good, perfect.
So this
All right,
one is
so
I put with an empty first name. I only put the that is my negative scenario,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
No. You did see my first one. This is my
So
second.
the first one is not a test case, right? Open auto insurance. So okay, let's see. Click on that. I want to basically make sure that we're doing the right thing. Okay. So the first one, you're just opening up the.
I'm just checking that whether it is go on the right URL or not.
Right, right. But the thing is, that is not
Oh.
serving the purpose of a test case, right?
Oh, okay.
Because all of the tests will do that, right? In order for you to, like, even if you want to enter like first name, last name, you have to do that in the beginning, right? So it's part of the other test case, not by
Okay,
itself.
got it. So basically it's 4, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this one
Okay.
is
So,
uh,
okay. Go to the third one and run it.
oh, the third one is with the negative one.
Yeah. So for some reason it's failing where it says the assertion is failing. Two things we may wanna check because the assertion probably didn't show up until you click on the start. And it was probably not fast enough. You may wanna put some time in between, 16 or 17. But I'll let you deal with that. Did it pass before and it's failing now?
Once I put that empty one, the first name is empty, it didn't pass. It come
No,
up
so
message.
so when you write a negative test case, right, and you
Yes.
enter unexpected information such as empty last name, your test case should pass as long as it shows the validation message, meaning it should shows like an error message on your screen. So please fill in all the requirement information. If that message shows up, then your test case should pass and you move on, right? That's how negative test case works.
Okay.
Okay, so you can probably look into that. Let's see if any other test case passes.
This is with referring the agent one.
Okay. Okay, you pass. Go to the next. So it looks like most of your test case is negative test case, right? Okay, so you have 2 test cases failing. But still you have 5 test cases, which is great. So you can look into those 2 failing test cases and fix them. In the real world, when we write test cases and the next day it started failing or third day it started failing, we do 2 things. One is that we have to make sure that this is not failing because of a bug. Okay. If it's failing, if your test case failing and you go like, oh no, my test case is failing. Okay, let me just fix it quickly. We don't do that because what if your test case actually caught a bug, right? So you then investigate, you then manually check, go into the application and see it is doing the right thing. If application is happy and healthy, that means it must be your code. Then you look into your code and you fix it. So this is going to be your situation here in a real world. But think about this way, if your automation fails and you hide it because you think it's your code maybe, and you don't go and investigate, then it defeats the purpose of automation because automation is there to catch issues and things like that. And you're just saying, okay, no, I'm not going to check after it's automation is catching issues, but you're not checking it and escalating it.
Okay. And
All
once
right,
again,
good.
Because your second class is very helpful.
Okay. Yeah, it's gonna be
Thanks once
continuing to
again.
be, like I said, yeah, no problem. And we can always, like I said, if you have a request like, hey, I need this clarification about this and that specific topic, we can always go over. It doesn't have to be automation. Okay. So we're gonna continue to move forward as long as you guys are doing the right thing in terms of homework. Homework is something that we need. Otherwise, nobody's gonna learn anything. All right, so let's go into the next person. Who else is left to show us some of their work? This was all, everybody?
Can I try one more time?
Okay, so let's do it.
Installed my Selenium ID.
Okay, so let's see. Okay. Yeah, you can start sharing.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. So these are my test cases. I will run all together just to see.
So this tool that you guys are using, if your company says, we don't mind whatever you want to use, can you use this tool? My answer is yes, you can. But then soon, when you have a lot of test cases, that's when you're going to start seeing like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to. A lot of the things that you're not going to have flexibility about will solve the problem using the Selenium WebDriver. But if, let's say, there is nothing at all, you join a company and there is no tools at all, if you implement something like this, are they going to mind? I don't think so. They're going to say, oh, wow, okay, you automated it, right? So just keep that in mind. This tool is powerful enough to actually be implemented in a team space, but it really depends if they agree to this, right? Again, like if you have a team lead and who's more leaning toward WebDriver, he's not going to ask you to do this one. But okay, so these test cases are very refined, I would say. This is probably the second homework that I'm looking into, that actually not only just write some lines, but also doing proper validation, because a test case is not a test case unless you have validation. Imagine like you go to college and your professor's never giving you a test at the end. He's just asking you to do things and no test at all. That doesn't really verify that your knowledge level. It's the same thing. How do we catch issues in an application if we don't have checkpoints? Okay, so when you do text checkpoint, like assert text, verify text, those really help to catch future issues. Whenever application changes and something goes wrong, it will catch those issues. But I really liked the naming of the test cases that you did, and also that the test cases are very detailed and pretty longer than the other people. That's great. All right, good job. Let's go into the next person if there's anybody else. Otherwise,
Stop sharing.
okay. All right, anybody else here that did the test cases that we can look into today? Or we're all good? All right, so for those who never did the IDE, you just piled yourself up with more work. So not only that you have to do what we talked about today, but you'll also have to complete the IDE. I'll note down whoever showed today their work, and then I'll expect you to finish by the next class. But remember, you can always create a video, screen video, and then post it in the group and you'll be done, right? So as long as I see a run, I see that your test cases, we are done with IDE. That means today, if let's say today, if Afsin gets hired and they're saying, okay, just write test automation, doesn't matter, just write some test automation. She can actually go and create test cases in IDE and start giving them demo. Like, okay, this is how we wrote the test case and it's running, right? This will save her job, but most importantly, this will get her started. And now the defense could be like, okay, so you're writing this way. If nobody in the team knows how to do automation, then they will not ask a single question, period. Now, if somebody is there and say, oh yeah, IDE, I don't think we want to use, she can always say, yeah, but we don't have anything at all. So let's start writing IDE test using Selenium IDE. And once we pass beyond 50 to 60 tests, we can start to take this test and put it into Selenium WebDriver. So the next class, we're not only going to write new test cases in Selenium WebDriver, I'm going to show you how to take your test cases from IDE. One second, guys. So the next class, not only that we're going to write new test cases, I'm going to show you how to take your IDE tests and put it into the Selenium WebDriver. Okay, so that way, even if the company or the team that you're working on doing Selenium WebDriver, you can still use, personally, you can use IDE and you can still get the code and put it into Selenium WebDriver. So the progress, again, every class is relevant, at least for me. Things will happen. The better, it's going to be really, really good for you if you want to finish things for our classes, because the moment we hit the third, fourth class from today, it's going to be completely out of this world, right? We're now expecting you to know what data types are. We're now expecting you to know how to use Boolean. We're now expecting you to know how to use data structure, which is using array, list, hash map. So it's just going to go completely, different direction for the better. So more advanced, and you'll be feeling more easy using IDE. You're going to feel like, wow, IDE was easy and I can't believe I didn't do this before, right? So my recommendation, guys, like, don't fall off the class. Try to take this as a challenge and make some progress instead of, I would say like at least 2 hours a day should be sufficient at this point if you're spending the time wisely. That's my suggestion. All right, with that said, I will see you guys on Wednesday, and we already know our agenda on Wednesday, but the homeworks will be the first priority. We're going to probably spend the first 15 minutes going over the homework, but if you can create a video and post it, if you're done, create a video, post it, it will be helpful. What I can do during the class, I'll just play your video, all right? But most importantly, everybody else will get the sense that some people actually finishing homework, so they need to do the same, right? So motivation will definitely kick in there. So I'll see you guys Wednesday, and if you guys have any question in the meantime, just ping me through the group.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice weekend. Thank you for your time.